Back at you with another edition of Rate My Genetics, where I rate your genetics harder than last time. We're doing it again, where I'm assessing your genetics. Are they good, bad, or ugly? Hopefully they're better than last time. Let's see how these people make out. Up next, we have 30-year-old future women's physique competitor Cynthia Fonda. I think I said that right. She self-assessed herself at 28% body fat, and I do believe that to be correct, and she's currently 18 weeks out from competition. She plans on trying a small cycle of Ostarine for her first competition. So she's got 3 years training under her belt, and she's been training natural, but is going to use SARMs, but only in a small amount. So this will dramatically improve her ability to add muscle, or at least maintain it while in the diet. So how does she look? How is she going to do? Up first, we have a very unique and interesting pose. She's over squeezing her shoulder blades together, which is showing a lot of mass in the upper body, but it's taking away from making it look like she has a small waist. Can't really tell how she looks from this pose. I don't know what's going on with the fingers here, but maybe she's playing the talking hand thing. What is this? What is happening here? I'm not sure. Is C is for cookie? It's good enough for me. She's 18 weeks out. She could probably be eating cookies. At least she should be eating them from my cookbook. So I'm not sure what to think about this pose, but it looks like she has potential. I do see a significant amount of muscle in the upper back area. And standing relaxed from the rear, much be able to assess her body. She does appear to have a small waist with a lot of back muscle and wide shoulders. However, I see very small calves, hamstrings, and glutes. She needs more overall muscle in the lower body. From the front, you can see amazing arms and wide shoulders. She looks great. The waist is smaller. The legs, not sure if there are enough muscle. It does appear that she needs to have more size in the lower body. Depending on the camera angle too, it looks like it's appearing downwards. It's going to make her upper body look bigger than the lower body. Very hard to assess a photo. You need to know so many different things. How far away is the camera, the angle, the lighting? Can't tell if her legs are as well developed as I expect them to be. And standing relaxed from the front, she needs to get the feet in about 6 inches closer and point her toes out. Allow her to show more flared quads. I can see her waist doesn't look as small as I'd like, and her shoulders, although wide, one shoulder appears to be wider than the other. Perhaps this is possibly due to injury or just not standing appropriately. Overall, for the off-season, I do think she looks fantastic. I think that she'll have no trouble coming in as lean as she needs to be. 18 weeks, plenty of time to get in shape. She has a great upper body, and I would say focus on the lower half. Overall, I don't know how great her genetics are, as she's only been training for 3 years and she's about to use Ostarine. She may respond well, she may not respond well. It's certainly going to make it easier to add muscle, but to compete in women's physique in a non-tested competition, she needs significantly more mass, particularly in the lower body. I would stress, get in some more squat, build up those glutes, build up the legs, get as lean as you can, and we'll have a better idea of her genetic potential after doing her next competition. Up next, we have 20-year-old Julian Goligarza. He's been training for only 3 years, yet has already decided to not be natural. So this makes it a lot more difficult to assess his potential because we don't know how far he's past his genetic limit. He may or may not already be past his genetic limit due to his use of PEDs. We don't know how long he's been using them or at what dose. So hard time for me to assess genetic potential. If he looked like this natural, it would be like, amazing, amazing. Oh my goodness, imagine if he took something. But the fact that he's took PEDs, you got to assume that he has the body of somebody much older. He may have been able to achieve this on his own natural, but we don't know for sure. So my advice, wait as long as you can before you take anything. You're only 20. There's no reason to start this young. And from the rear, back double biceps. Looks amazing. Lots of muscle, shredded, great V-taper, bicep peaks prevalent. Lots of hamstrings, not shredded looking hamstring, but you can see that the muscle's there. Very thick in the legs and a small waist. The lighting, not amazing. You can't see as much of the bumps as you would see if you had the proper lighting. So don't make the mistake of discounting somebody who isn't posing under the best kind of lighting. This guy looks shredded, but the lighting is not doing him any justice. Standing back lat spread, he looks even more impressive standing relaxed than while flexed. And trust me, this is important. When you're standing in the judging lineup, the judges are assessing and ranking your physique while relaxed. The standing front relaxed pose, the most important pose. You're literally just standing there, not flexing, but in reality, you're flexing everything to look as good as you can. And the judges are deciding right away who's good and who's not good. So if you don't have a great standing relaxed pose, you might be overlooked by the judges. You ever heard, oh, I was overlooked, or she was overlooked? Oftentimes this happens because while standing relaxed, they aren't imposing, they're not impressive. But once they hit the poses, they're like, whoa, look at that person. But if they miss the first call out, because they're standing relaxed doesn't look good, they come into the second call out and they stand out in the second call out, but oftentimes it's too late. They don't bring them back to the first call out. Bigger shows with too many competitors, it makes it impossible to judge fairly. If you have hundreds of people in a competition and only a certain amount of hours to judge, you can't compare everyone. So they do the best they can. And yes, I am a judge, I do have experience. It can be very difficult to make these assessments. And front double bicep doing an excellent job of doing the vacuum pose. Makes his waist look smaller. The biceps, they look massive. Huge biceps and great quads. And from the front relax, he has great abs. You can see just how well formed his chest is. Huge pecs. Wide shoulders and big arms with vascularity, looking amazing. Overall, he has the kind of physique that I believed would do better in men's bodybuilding as opposed to classic physique. I think he could have a smaller waist to do better in classic physique, and just the overall flow of the physique looks to be more impressive as a bodybuilder than as a more aesthetic classic physique competitor. So I would suggest if he wants to go as far as he can in the sport, he would stick to bodybuilding, although why not compete in both classic physique and bodybuilding, and then later on when he's gotten the time to build a muscle, then switch and stick to bodybuilding. Remember, in classic physique, you're limited as to how big you can get. There's a weight restriction based on your height. So as he progresses and adds more muscle, eventually he'll no longer be able to make that weight cap, and then he'll do better in bodybuilding. Up next, we have 20-year-old Alexian Cruz Herrera. She's only been training for 3 years and plans to compete in bikini while being a natural competitor. She self-assessed her to be around 20%. I believe she's just slightly higher, but close to 20%. She's a former cheerleader and has only been lifting for a couple of years. Doesn't have the best training program as of right now. She's doing strength-focused lifting. Like, why are you focusing on lifting heavy weights? You don't need to focus on strength as a bikini competitor. So first pose is a front double bicep, and basically she looks fantastic here. Small waist, abs forming, can't see the entirety of the legs, but she looks to be in amazing shape for bikini. Would only need to lose about 5 pounds to get into bikini shape. And from the rear, you might see that she looks to be standing a little bit crooked. You might be saying, well, her posing isn't quite right. It's not her fault. She literally has scoliosis. That's with an incorrect curvature of the spine. That is obviously going to be a hindrance in women's competition. The judges, they don't care if you have scoliosis or lordosis or whatever. They're judging the physique on what it looks like. They don't care about your story, your background, if you were anorexic, if you're overweight. They care about, on this day, are you better than the girl next to you? It's a beauty pageant. So if she can somehow work on her posing and try to appear more symmetrical, she will do a lot better. But from a genetic point of view, it's not as good as if she didn't have scoliosis. Just telling you the truth. When you're judging a physique, you're looking for proper symmetry. The left side should look like the right, and the top should match with the bottom, okay? This is not as symmetrical as it could be, but she's doing the best she can, and I wish her the best. And frankly, despite this, look how good this girl looks at only 20 years of age. She has a small waist and plenty of muscle in upper body. Her glutes are well formed, but not large enough. She needs to get bigger glutes. She's only 20, and it takes time to develop those muscles, but she needs to work on her glutes. She needs much, much larger glutes. Do they look bad? Of course not. It looks great, but this is a women's bikini competition where they're judging the glutes. The glutes, arguably the most important muscle on the female body for women's bikini. And from the front, standing relaxed, what a fantastic looking abdomen. Her stomach is completely flat, has great abdominal formation. Great arms, great muscle, only 20 years of age. Her legs seem to be in shape as well. However, the photo is not showing everything. Definitely an amazing physique, which most women wouldn't get even with 10 years of training. This is a good example of what great genetics can do. She's only 20 years of age. If you don't have the proper genetics, you could train your entire life, but you're not going to have the small waist or the nice abs that are formed in this photo. And from the rear, doing the back double bicep, although it's posed improperly, she's squeezing the shoulder blades too close together. The trapezius muscles are squeezed. She needs to open up the back, make it wider, and it'll look better. But guess what? You don't do this pose in women's bikini. You don't even do this pose in women's figure. That is a pose for women's physique. So unless you're into bodybuilding and flexing that way, you don't actually need to do this pose. Wish her the best. Hopefully she can put on even more muscle in the glutes. And I'm sure in a couple of years down the road, when she adds even more muscle, she's going to be a force to reckon with on the bikini stage. Up next, we have 23-year-old Zinha Hotshot from South Africa. She's been a cardio and boxing trained athlete her entire life and only recently switched to weightlifting the last year. She hopes to compete in women's bikini and is a natural athlete. She self-assessed herself at 28% body fat, and I believe she's very close to that, just slightly lower. In women's bikini, you need to have glutes, and this girl, she's got them. Also seems to have a small waist, and she's doing a back double bicep pose, which is actually unnecessary. It's not needed in women's bikini, so although it looks good, you don't need to do it. She doesn't have massive back muscles, but they're not judging your back in women's bikini. They're judging you from the back, but it's mostly on the glutes. From the front double bicep, again, they're not judging biceps here in bikini, so although her biceps are not too bad, she doesn't need to have any more muscle. She looks fantastic. You can see she has a small waist and she has really great legs. You can see a lot of muscle. Obviously, all that cardio and boxing training's paid off, and she's only recently got into weightlifting. That means she has a lot more potential to put on muscle if she needed it. And from the back, relaxed, she looks even better. You can see she does have the V taper, which does help in bikini. You do want to have a small waist with slightly wider shoulders. She looks great. She's got the long hair. I would suggest for women's bikini, she undoes the braiding of the hair, lets it all out. Most women in bikini competitions have hair extensions. She doesn't seem to need them. You can see her legs look great, and if she were to lose a little bit more body fat, the small amount of saddlebags you see, they would disappear. And she has well-developed glutes, all the boxing stuff. I would just suggest she work even harder than last time to build her glutes even more. In women's bikini, it's all about the glutes. The bigger the glutes, the better. Do all the best exercises, the squats, the hip thrusts, and so on. Don't neglect glute training. But remember, you don't want to overtrain the glutes. You can't just do squats every single day and expect to have the best glutes. You need to recover. Train the glutes specifically twice a week. But clearly, having the small waist with the wide shoulders, great skin, good-looking girl, this is going to make a significant difference in women's bikini. Let's face it. It's a beauty pageant. You need to look attractive. They're not judging you just based on if you have muscle or not. It's a bikini competition. You need to look good. And from the front, you can see she almost has abs forming. If she were to drop about 10 pounds, she would be bikini stage ready. All the muscles would look better. Her legs, they look a little bit thick here, but let's face it, this is the off season. She looks fantastic for off season. She drops 10 pounds, she'll have the flatter stomach with abs, legs well formed, and she should do exceptionally well on a bikini stage. If you want to be included in future videos, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. Submit your photos. We're doing all kinds of these. Not just this, body fat assessment, genetics, and different things, teaching people how to pose and so on. Subscribe to the newsletter. What are you waiting for? Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette IB Pro. The bloops are over there. Don't forget, buy my freaking cookbook. You want to lose fat, get into shape of your life? Buy the freaking cookbook. Amazing recipes. It's going to change your life. Follow the diet that's not actually a diet, the forever diet, the circle diet. And until next time, I am out.